Hello, my friends. I don't know what was going on. I hope that I'm live here. Um, for some reason, the trackpad on my mouse pad or the trackpad or whatever mouse pad thing, whatever on the computer wasn't working, and the mouse wasn't charged. And I'm trying to. I don't know what it is, but I really hate the trackpad on the computers. I don't know about you guys. You guys probably are used to them, but I find when I'm typing, I always hit them and it does weird crap. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm here. We're here. And we're going to get some reading done. I'm excited. Things are really taking off in the what? I don't know. I think this has been a pretty exciting book. I think the last book, it really kind of builds up. And this book, in some ways, like pow, pow, like you're just kind of getting hit with a lot of stuff, which is good. So let's see where we leave off last book or last was it Tuesday? Tuesday. I rush out. Wait a minute. What? Oh. The cat. That's right. She brings oh geez, what's his name's mom? Marina of the Sea brings Carlota, right? I think that's her name. Brings her whatever sickness it is, kind of cures her of it, and she gets all vertigo, everything, and she had found the cat, right? And then she takes off. That's where we had left off. That's right. All right. Chapter 20. And we are 50, we are 60% done with the book. Yeah, 60% done with the book. Being in love is a very strange thing. Your thoughts constantly drift towards this other person, no matter what you're doing. You could be reaching for a glass in a cupboard or brushing your teeth or listening to someone tell a story, and your mind will just start drifting towards their face, their hair, the way they smell, wondering what they'll wear and what they'll say the next time they see you. And on top of the constant dream state you're in, your stomach feels like it's connected to a bungee cord. And it bounces and bounces around for hours until it finally lodges itself next to your heart. That's how I felt since the day I've met Sarah Hart. I can be training with Sam or trying to put my shoes in the back of our SUV. Oh, and the thought of Sarah's face and her lips and her ivory skin take over me. I can be giving directions from the back seat and still 100% focused on the way it feels when the top of Sarah's head rests under my chin. And I can be surrounded by 20 mogs, my palms just starting to light up, and I'll be analyzing every line of conversation from Thanksgiving dinner at Sarah's. But what's even more insane is that as we drive the speed limit towards paradise, 9 o'clock at night, as we drive right towards Sarah and her blonde and blue eyes, I'm also thinking about 6. Ugh, excuse me. I'm thinking about the way she smells, the way she looks in her training outfits, how we almost kissed back in Florida. My stomach also hurts because of 6. Not only because of her, but because of the fact that my best friend also has a crush on her. I need to buy some antacids the next time we stop. While Sam drives, we debate Henry's letter and we talk about how cool Sam's dad is for not helping for not only helping the people of Lorien, but also giving Sam a riddle to find the transmitter device in case anything were to happen to him. And I'm still going back and forth between Sarah and 6 in my head. We're 2 hours from paradise, and 6 asks. But what if it's nothing, though? I mean, what if there's nothing down in that well but some weird birthday present or anything else but the transmitter? We're risking a lot, like a lot, by showing up in paradise like this. Trust me, Sam says. He drums his thumbs Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, guys. He drums his thumbs on the steering wheel and turns up the stereo. I've never been so certain of anything in my life, and I get straight as thank you very much. I think the Magadorians are there waiting in far greater numbers than we faced in Florida, watching everything that might lead them to us. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, the only reason I'm willing to take this risk is because of the possibility of seeing Sarah. I lean forward in the back seat and I put Sam's right shoulder and I pat Sam's right shoulder. Sam, no matter what happens with that well and sundial, Six and I owe you big time for what your dad did for us. But I really, 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 really hope that it leads to a transmitter. Don't worry, Sam says. Highway lights come and go. Bernie Kosar's floppy ears fall from the edge of the seat as he sleeps. I'm nervous about seeing Sarah, nervous about being so close to Six. Hey, Sam, I ask, you want to play a game? Yeah, sure. What do you think Six's Earth name is? Six whips her head over her shoulder, her raven hair slapping her right cheek, and she frowns at me in mock anger. She has one, Sam laughs. Just guess, I say. Yeah, Sam, Six says, guess. Striker? I laugh so hard, Bernie Kosar jumps up to look out the nearest window. Striker, Six yells. Not Striker, then. Okay, not Striker, then. I don't know, something like Persia or Eagle, Six says. Why would I be Eagle? You're such a badass, Sam laughs. I just figured you'd be like Starfire or Thunderclap or something really badassy. Exactly, I shout. That's totally what I thought too. So what is it then, he asks. Six crosses her arms and looks out the passenger window. I'm not telling you until you make a real guess with a real girl's name. Eagle, Sam, give me some credit. What? I'd name myself Eagle if I had the chance, Sam says. Eagle Goody. That sounds pretty awesome, right? It sounds like a brand of cheese, Six says. We all laugh at that. Okay, Rachel, Sam says. Brittany. Ew, yuck, she says. Fine. Rebecca, Claire, I don't know, Beverly. You are insane, Six laughs. She punches Sam's thigh and he howls and he rubs it dramatically. He hits her back with a couple of knuckles on her left bicep, and she feigns severe pain. Her name is Marin Elizabeth, I say. Marin Elizabeth. Oh, you gave it away, he says. I was going with Marin Elizabeth next. Yeah, right, she says. No, I was. Marin Elizabeth's pretty cool. Do you want us to start calling you that? Four goes by John, right, Four? I scratch Bernie Kosar's head. I don't think I could get used to calling him Hadley, but maybe I could get used to calling Six Marin Elizabeth. I think you should take on a human name, I say. If not Marin Elizabeth, then something else. I mean, at least for when we're in front of strangers. Everyone grows silent, and I reach behind me into the chest for the velvet bag holding Lorien's solar system. I set the 6 planets and the sun in my palm and watch them hover over and glow to life. As the planets begin to orbit their sun, I find that I'm able to dim the brightness of their glow with my mind. I intentionally lose myself in them, successfully forgetting just for a few moments that I might be seeing Sarah soon. Six turns to look at the faint solar system that floats in front of the chest. Then she finally says, I don't know. I still like the name Six. Marin Elizabeth was when I was a different person. Right now, I'm just Six, and Six feels right. It can be short for something if someone asks. Sam looks over. For what? 60? I set out 7 mugs and a kettle on the stove. While waiting for the water to boil, I crushed 3 of the pills I stole from Hector's mother into a fine powder with the rounded backside of a metal spoon. Ella stands beside me, watching as she does when it's my turn to make the sisters' nightly tea. So this is the first chapter that has both of our well, I guess, yeah. Well, it has Spain and America in it, right? What you doing? Ella asks. Something I'm probably going to regret, I say, but something I have to do. Ella flattens a piece of crumpled paper on the table and places the tip of her pencil on it. Immediately, she's drawing a perfect picture of the 7 teacups I've lined up. From what I can get out of her, she met with a couple in Sister Lucia's office who said they had a lot of love to give. I'm not sure how long the meeting lasted, but Ella says they're coming back tomorrow. I know what it means, and I pour the boiling water from the kettle as slowly as I can, trying to prolong my time with her. Ella, how often do you think about your parents, I ask? Her brown eyes grow wide. Today? Sure, today or any other day. I don't know, she trails off. After a pause, she adds, 1,000,000 times? I bend down and I hug her, and I don't know if it's because how sorry I feel for her or how sorry I feel for myself. My parents are dead too, the victims of a war I'm supposed to continue someday. I scoop the crushed pills into Adelena's teacup, regretting that I've resorted to drugging her. There's no other choice. She can stand by and wait for death if that's what she chooses, but I refuse to give up or to go down without a fight, without doing everything within my power to survive. With the tray teetering in my hands, I leave Ella at the table and make my rounds. One by one, I hand the tea out in the orphanage, and when I'm ushered into the sisters' quarter to deliver Adelena her tea, I carefully shove her cup towards the front edge. She takes it with a polite nod. Sister Camilla is feeling ill this evening, and I've been asked to sleep in the children's quarters tonight for her. Okay, I say, as I think about the possibilities of Adelena and me being in the same room tonight. I watch her take a long sip from the teacup. I can't tell if I just made a huge mistake or helped my cause immensely. I will see you soon then, she says. Then she winks at me. I'm taken aback, almost dropping the 2 remaining cups of tea from the floor. Okay, I shudder. When curfew comes a half hour later, nobody falls asleep right away, and instead many girls whisper to one another in the dark. I lift my head every few minutes to look at Adelena lying on the bed across from the room. Her wink has left me confused. 10 more minutes pass, and I can tell most everyone is still awake, including Adelena. She's usually quick to fall asleep when she's on duty, so the fact that she's still up tells me that she's also waiting for everyone in the room to fall asleep. Now I think her wink definitely meant she wanted to resume our conversation. The room falls silent, and I wait before I lift my head. Adelena hasn't moved in the last half hour, so I move my left legs off her. I move the left legs off her bed, off the ground, and tip her slightly. Suddenly, she raises her left arm above her like a white flag of surrender, and she points to the doorway. I toss the covers aside, stand, then tiptoe from the room. When I reach the hall, I slink a few paces into the shadows, holding my breath, hoping this isn't some sort of trap Adelena and Sister Dora have set up. After 30 seconds, Adelena enters the hallway. Her walk is labored, and she sways from side to side. Come with me, I whisper, taking her hand. I haven't held her hand in years, and it brings back the memory of us huddling together on the boat to Finland, when I was sick and she was strong. We were once so close you couldn't slide a piece of paper between us. Now the mere touch of her hand feels alien. I'm so tired, Adelena confesses as we climb to the second floor. We're halfway to the north wing and the belfry, protected by the padlock. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do. She doesn't say that. She thinks it. Do you want me to carry you? You can't carry me. Not with my arms, I say. She's too tired to argue, and I focus on her feet and legs. And a few seconds later, I've lifted Adelena off the floor and begin to float her down the dusty corridor. We pass the ancient statues, cut into the rock wall, and enter the narrower hallway in silence. I worry that she's fallen asleep, but then she says, I can't believe you're using telekinesis to fly an old lady like me down the hall. Where are we going? I had to hide it, I whisper. We're almost there, I promise. I unlock the padlock, and it falls from the oak door's handle. And soon, I'm following a floating Adelina up the stone staircase that circles around the north tower, leading to the belfry. I can hear Legacy faintly meowing from the top. I open the door to the belfry and set Adelina gently down next to the chest. She props her left arm up on the chest lid and leans her head against it. I can see she is just about to lost her battle with the pills, and I'm angry with myself for now tricking her. Legacy climbs into her lap and licks her right hand. How is that cat in here? She mumbles. Don't ask. Listen, Adelina, you're almost completely asleep, and I need to open the chest with. I need you to open the chest with me before you are totally asleep. Okay? I don't think I have what, I ask. Have it in me right now, Marina. Her eyes are closed. Yes, you do. Put your hand on the chest lock. Put my hand on the other side. I press my palm against the side of the lock, and it feels warm. I use telekinesis to pull her hand away from Legacy's tongue and onto the other side of the lock. She interlocks her fingers with mine. A second passes. The lock snaps open. Guys, something is totally happening back here. The 7 orbs that hover in front of my chest in the back seat of the SUV are speeding up, and I can no longer control them. It gets so bright that I have to cover my eyes. Hey, dude, cut it out, Sam barks. I'm trying to drive here. I don't know what's going on. Pull over, 6 yells. Sam rips the vehicle onto the shoulder of the road and slams on the brakes. Stone and gravel crunching and pinging us. The 6 planets and the 1 sun dim in brightness, and the planets start to whip around the sun at such a rate that it's hard to focus on any single one. With each orbit, the planets are absorbed into the sun until it's like the size of a basketball. New globe rotates as though on an axis, and then it produces a flash of light so bright that I'm momentarily blinded. It slowly dims, and sections of the surface raise and recede until what's left behind is a perfect replica of Earth itself. All 7 continents, all 7 seas. Is that, Sam asks, that looks like Earth. The planet spins near my head, and on its 3rd and 4th rotation, I see a small pinprick of pulsing light. Do you guys see that little light, I ask? Look at Europe. Oh, yeah, Sam says. He waits for another rotation, then he squints. I would say that's, Spain, Portugal? Can someone reach the laptop? Hurry. With my eyes still on the globe and a tiny pulsing light, I crash my hand around behind me until I find the laptop. I hand it to 6, who hands it to Sam. He looks up at the globe hovering in the back seat and types in and looks up. Well, it's definitely Spain, and it looks too close to be, the closest city seems to be a place called Leon, but that's slightly off. We're looking at the Pico de Europa mountains for sure. Anyone ever heard of them? Definitely not, I say. Me neither, 6 says. Is that maybe our ship, I ask? No way, not in Spain. Well, at least I highly doubt it, she says. I mean, if that's our ship, then why would it just start glowing now, showing us where it is? That wouldn't make any sense. Besides, you've looked at these things how many times? A dozen, I say, maybe more. Sam hugs his headrest and raises his eyebrows. Right. So it's as if something just activated it. 6 and I look at each other. It could definitely be one of the others, Sam says. Could be, 6 says, or it could be a trap. He looks at Sam. Has there been any suspicious news from Spain? He shakes his head. Not as of 5 hours ago, but I'll check again right now. He starts typing on the keyboard. Before you do that, let's get off the main road before someone notices there's a glowing planet of Earth floating in a car, I say. We're pretty damn close to paradise, remember? Adelina snores, and I feel guilty, but for the first time in my life, I see the inheritance I should have received years ago. Rocks and gems of different colors, different sizes and shapes. A pair of dark gloves and a pair of dark glasses, both made of materials I have never seen before. There's a small tree branch with the bark pared away, And under that there is an odd circular device with a glass lens and a floating needle, not unlike a compass, but it's glowing red crystal that has me. Uh-oh. I don't know why Siri just turns on sometimes. But it's a glowing red crystal that has me most intrigued. Once I look at it, I can't look away, and I slowly reach down and take it from my hand. Take it in my hand. It's warm and tingly in my palm. For a brief second, the red light brightens, then it fades and begins to slowly pulse at the same rate I breathe. The crystal grows hotter, brighter. Then it begins to emit a low hum. I panic nervously, and one of my legacies has been activated. One of my legacies might have activated a Laura grenade. Adelina, I yell, wake up, please. She furrows her brow, and her snoring intensifies. With my free hand, I shake her shoulder. Adelina! I shake her harder. And as I do, I drop the crystal. It bounces hard on the belfry stone floor and rolls toward the doorway. As it falls from the first stair to the second, the red light stops pulsing. As it falls from the second to the third, it stops glowing. As it falls to the fourth stair, I chase after it. Sam rips us down a dark dirt road. The globe continues to whirl in my face. The tiny pulsing light continues to try to tell us something. We've come to a stop, and Sam kills the engine and lights. So I'm thinking it's one of you guys, Sam says, turning around. It's another number, and that number is in Spain. We have no way of knowing that, Six says. Sam nods at the globe. Okay, look, you guys were meant to stay apart from one another when the first arrived, right? That's how it worked. You all go off in hiding until your legacies develop and you train and everything. And then what? Then you get together and you fight together. So this light right here, maybe that's a signal to get together, or more likely, it's a distress signal from one of the other remaining numbers. Or, guys, remember 5 and number 9 just showed up their chest for the first time. And because we have this thing running at the same time, we can communicate. Maybe they see we're in Ohio, then I ask. Shit, maybe possibly, but seriously, think about it. If the elders were going to give us all this stuff in your chest, and they give you, then they give you something to communicate with each other, right? Maybe we just unlock the key somehow, and we've got the location of someone who needs our help, he says. Or maybe one of the others is getting tortured, and they're being forced to contact us, and it's a trap, Six says. Just as I'm about to agree, the edges of Earth grow fuzzy, and then the entire globe vibrates with a female voice. Adelina, desperita, por favor, Adelina. I'm about to yell back, but the globe suddenly shrinks, reforms into 7 orbs, and returns to normal. Whoa, what just happened, I ask. I'd say the signal's been cut, Sam says. Who is that girl? Who is Adelina, Six asks. I catch the stone after it bounces off the 9th stair, but no matter what I do, it doesn't glow like it did before. I shake it in my palm, I blow on it, I set it in Adelina's open hand. It doesn't change from its new faint blue color, and I'm worried I broke it. I carefully set it back inside the chest, and I pick up the short tree branch. With a deep breath, I stick the branch out in one of the 2 windows, and I concentrate on the opposite end. But there's a bit of a magnetic force happening. Before I can really test it or figure it out, I hear the oak door at the bottom of the tower creak open. Dun, dun, dun! Oh, we've got plenty of time. Let's keep reading. Let's make sure Siri is not turned on. Okay. Uh-oh, Stella's yelling at me. What? Are you going to make an appearance tonight? Huh? You're just going to yell at me? I think she has a hobby, and it's yelling at me. All right. No? Are you coming up? All right. While we drive, I try a few more times to regain the signal with the globes. But every time I get the solar system up and running, they just orbit like normal. It's almost midnight, and I'm about to rifle through the other stones and objects in my chest. But then I see the scattered lights of a town on the horizon. A sign passes. A sign passes on the right, just like it did a few months ago when Henry was behind the wheel. Welcome to Paradise, Ohio. Population 5,243. Welcome home, Sam whispers. I press my forehead against the window, and I recognize the dilapidated barn. It's old sign for apples, a green pickup still for sale. A warm feeling comes over my entire body. All of the places I've ever lived, Paradise has been my favorite. It's where I made my first best friend. It's where I developed my first legacy. It's when I fell in love. But Paradise was also where I met my first Megadorians. Coppers. Where I had my first real battle and I felt real pain. It's the place where Henry died. Bernie Kosar jumps in the seat next to me and his tail wags with an amazing rate. He shoves his nose through the small crack in the window and he sniffs furiously at the similar air. As we take the first side of the road on the left and we make several more turns, backtracking here and there, making sure we're not being followed, finding the best and least conspicuous place to leave the SUV, we go over the plan once more. After we get the transmitter, we go right back to the car and we leave Paradise immediately. Six says, right? Right, I say. We don't make contact with anyone else. We just go. We leave. I know she's referring to Sarah, and I bite my lip finally after all these weeks on the run. I'm back in Paradise, and I'm told that I can't see Sarah. Got it, John? We leave right away. Lay off already. I know what you're getting at. Sorry. Sam parks the SUV on the dark street under a maple tree. Can you just sit down and relax? We're back in Paradise. We're back in Paradise. A tree 2 miles from his house. 2 miles. My shoes drop to the asphalt. My lungs take the first real breath of Paradise air, and I instantly want to go back to how it was. Back to Halloween, back to coming home to Henry, back to sitting on the couch next to Sarah. We don't take any chances of losing my chest in an unguarded car. So Six opens the back door and lugs it on her shoulder. Once comfortable, she makes herself invisible. Wait, I say. I want something out of there. I want something out of there first, Six. Six reappears and I open the chest and retrieve the dagger, slipping it into the back pocket of my jeans. Okay. I know now I'm ready. Bernie Kosar, buddy, are you ready? Bernie Kosar transforms into a small brown owl and flaps his way over to a low branch of the maple tree. Let's do this already. Six picks up the chest and disappears again. Then we run, with Sam trailing at a good pace. I jump a fence and I pick up speed on the edge of the nearest field. After a half mile, I'm veering into the forest, loving the way the branches break off my chest and arms, how the tall patches of grass whip my jeans. I look over my shoulder often, and Sam is never farther than 40 yards behind me, jumping over logs, sliding over branches. There is a noise beside me, but before I can reach for my dagger, Six whispers that it's just her. I see a swatch of grass part down the middle, and I follow. Luckily, Sam lives on the outskirts of Paradise, with large yards separating each neighbor. I stop just inside the lip of the forest when his house comes into view. It's a small, modest house with white aluminum siding and black shingles, a thin chimney on the right side, a tall wooden fence enclosing the backyard. Six materializes and sets down my chest. That it, she asks? That's it. 30 seconds later, Bernie Kosar lands on my shoulder. 4 minutes go by until Sam lumbers through a line of brush and stands next to us, out of breath, his palms planted firmly on his thighs. He looks up at his house in the distance. How are you feeling, I ask? Like a fugitive, like a bad son. Think about how proud your dad would be if we pull this off, I say. 6 turns herself invisible to run reconnaissance, checking the shadows of the nearby houses. The back seats of every car on the street. She returns and says everything looks okay, but there are some motion sensor lights on the house on the right. Bernie Kosar flies away, perching himself on the highest point of the roof. Whoa. That was weird. It almost sounded like a gunshot. It's probably fireworks. 6 grab Sam's hand and they turn invisible. I tuck the chest under my arm and quietly follow them to the back fence. They reappear, and 6 goes over first, and then Sam, and I toss the chest. I toss the chest over and climb quickly after. We duck behind an overgrown shrub, and I survey the backyard and its trees. High grass, a big tree stump, a rusty swing set, and an antique wheelbarrow on its side. There's a back door on the left side of the house and 2 dark windows on the right. There it is, Sam whispers, pointing. What I first thought was a tree stump peeking out of the middle of the yard is actually, upon closer inspection, a wide stone cylinder. Squinting, I see a triangular object sticking off the top of it. We'll be right back, 6 whispers to Sam. My hand in 6's, I turn invisible and say, okay, Eagle Goody, guard the chest as if my life depends on it, because it does. 6 and I carefully walk through the high grass towards the well, and then kneel in front of it. Numbers border the circumference of the sundial, 1 through 12 on the left side, and another 1 through 12 on the right, 0 at the top. And the numbers are surrounded by a series of lines. I'm about to grip the middle of the triangle and twist randomly when I hear 6 gasp. What? I whisper, raising my eyes to the dark back windows. In the middle, look, the symbols. I study the sundial again, and my breath is caught in my throat. They're faint and easy to overlook, but in the middle of the circles are 9 shallow Loric symbols. I recognize the numbers 1 through 3 because they match the scars on my ankle. But the others are new to me. Oh, excuse me, that's the first yawn I've had in a while. What's Sam's birthday again, I ask? January 4th, 1995. Holy cow. That's when I graduated college. Yikes. Whoops. The triangle clicks like a lock as it turns. I turn it right to the Loric number 1. I turn it left, swallowing hard as I aim at what must be number 5. Number 4, my number. Then I rotate the triangle to 1, 9, back to 9 again, then 5. Nothing happens for a few seconds, and then the sundial begins to hiss and smoke. 6 and I step back, and we watch the stone lid of the well flips back and opens with a loud echoing crack. When the smoke clears, I see a ladder inside. Sam is jumping up and down near the fence, one hand over his mouth and the other raised into a fist. One of the dark windows of the house turns yellow. Bernie Kosar lets out 2 long whoos from the roof. Before I can think, 6 yanks me forward, and soon I'm visible and descending the ladder inside the well. 6 follows, pulling the lid almost closed above her. I illuminate my palms and I see we're 20 feet from the cement floor. What about Sam? I whisper. He'll be fine. Bernie Kosar is up there. We reach the floor and find ourselves in a short hallway that curves to the left. The air is musty, and I shine my palms back and forth as we walk through the curve. When the hallway straightens again, we see there's a room ahead with a cluttered desk and hundreds of papers pinned to the wall. I'm about to run inside, but that's when my lights catch a long white object in the doorway. Is that? 6 trails off. I'm stuck in my tracks. It's an enormous bone. 6 pushes me forward, and I pull the dagger from my pocket. Ladies first, I offer. Not this time. With a running start, I jump over the bone, and I immediately light up the room with my hands. A yell escapes my mouth, and I take in the skeleton sitting against the wall. Six jumps inside, and when she does, she stumbles backwards into the desk. The skeleton is over 8 feet tall, with giant feet and hands. Thick blonde hair falls from the top of its skull and reaches past the wide shoulder blades. Around its neck hangs a blue pendant similar to mine. That is not Sam's dad, Six says. Definitely not. How are we doing on this chapter? We've got, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how we do. Then who is it? I step forward and I examine the pendant. The blue laureate stone is slightly larger than mine, but everything else is the same. I stare at it and I feel an overwhelming connection to whoever this was. I'm not sure, but I think he was a friend. I reach over his head and retrieve the pendant, handing it to Six. We move to the desk. I don't know where to start. A heavy layer of dust covers stacks of paper with writing utensils. The writing on the papers, pinned to the wall above the desk in every language but English. I recognize a few Lorik numbers, but nothing else. A white electronic tablet sits on a dilapidated wooden chair. I pick it up and I press my fingers over the black screen, but nothing happens. Six opens the top drawer to find some papers, and she grabs the second drawer's handle. An explosion above ground knocks us off our feet. A long crack travels through the room's ceiling, and then the concrete buckles. Chunks fall all over us. Run, I yell. I think we're going to finish this chapter. This is getting awesome. With the pendant around her neck, Six tears a dozen papers off the wall, and I stuff the white tablet in the back of my waistband. We scramble up the ladder, and we peek out the sliver of space between the well and the sundial. Dozens of Mogs, smoldering fires. Bernie Kosar has transformed himself into a tiger with the curling horns of a ram. A Mog's arm is in his teeth. Sam is no longer at the fence, and neither is my chest. I'm about to burst out of the well when Six launches herself past me in a tornado of clouds. The sundial lid whips backwards, and she rips through a huddle of 5 Mogs, sending them across the yard. I pull myself out of the well and as close. Sounds like another gunshot. And close it as she picks up a gleaming Mog sword, turning invisible. I use my telekinesis to toss 3 armed Mogs standing near the well against the house. They explode into thick ash. When I turn, I see a shirtless man frozen in the back door with a shotgun in his hands. Behind him stands Sam's frightened mom in a nightgown. Six materializes next to 2 Mogs running at me with glowing cannons. She swings the sword through both of their necks, then uses her telekinesis to throw the wheelbarrow at another, turning him into a pile of ash. I toss 2 Mogs against another, and Six impales all 3 with a quick motion. Bernie Kosar leaps into the middle of the yard and digs his teeth into a few Mogs, struggling to their feet. Where's Sam? I yell. Here! I twist to see Sam lying on his stomach under a charred shrub. Blood runs down his scalp. Sam! His mom yells from the doorway. He struggles to his knees. Mom! His mom yells again, but a Mog reaches down and pulls Sam up. Whoops. Oh, yeah, we'll finish the chapter. And pull Sam up by his shirt. I concentrate and I uproot the rusty swing set. Before one of these metal poles can appear in the Mog's chest, he tosses Sam over the fence. With an intensity I've never seen before, Six slices through the remaining Mogs. She's covered in ash when she jumps over the fence after Sam. I leap onto Bernie Kosar and we follow. Sam is on his back in the neighbor's yard. Motion sensor lights flood over him. I jump off Bernie Kosar and I pick him up. Sam, are you okay? Where's my chest? He opens his eyes halfway. They got it. I'm sorry, John. There, 6 points to several Mogs running through a field toward the forest. I set Sam on Bernie Kosar's back, but he pushes himself off. I'm okay, I swear. From the other side of the fence, Sam's mom yells, "Sam, I'll be back, Mom. I love you." And then he's the first to run towards the Mogs. Six and I catch up easily, but she veers right to plunge her sword into an approaching Mog. Four more are 30 yards ahead of her, and with the large pendant bouncing around her neck, she charges with Bernie Kosar at her heels. Sam and I enter a muddy field. Two Mogs cut off our path. Over my shoulder, I see two more separating and marching in our direction at strategic angles. The others have entered the forest at two different sections. I can't see who has the chest. I pull the dagger out of my pocket. The handle wraps around my hand. I run ahead, and two Mogs in front of me run. Two, their swords bouncing and cutting into the empty field behind them. When we're less than 5 yards apart, I leap with my dagger above my head. As I start to fall, a huge tree zips underneath me, ramming both Mogs and killing them. 6. As I hit the ground again, I turn to see her running towards Sam and the two Mogs who circle him. The one on Sam's left tackles him to around the waist. 6 tears the Mog off and throws him far into the field, where he immediately gets back to his feet and he charges. I sneak up behind the other Mog and hammer my dagger into the back of its neck, pulling it out at an angle that slices through its shoulder blade. He falls to a pile of ash that blows onto my shoes. Bernie Kosar pounces on the other Mog, and quickly he has a tongue coated with thick ash. "We have to get back to the car and get out of here," Six says. "There must be more on their way. They were waiting for us. We have to get my chest first," I say. "Then we're going to have to split up," Six says. With her soot-covered sword, she points at the two sections of forest the Mogs disappeared into. "Bernie Kosar, you're with me." Bernie Kosar shrinks into a hawk, and he and Six had left. Sam and I enter the forest in the other direction. Soon we hear twigs cracking, and we run in that direction. I speed ahead and hurdle a series of dead trees to see 4 Mogs trying to escape through a small clearing in the moonlight. I still can't see if any of them hold my chest. I slide down the hill on my side, crushing saplings, creating a small landslide of loose rock. I hear Sam crashing after me. They're halfway through the small clearing. It's dense with grass 6 feet tall. I run through it at full speed. Sam yells for me to tell what direction I'm headed in, but instead I keep running and aim my lip palm straight up into the sky as a beacon. "Okay, got it," he yells. Finally, right before the clearing becomes a forest, I can almost reach one. I dive for his legs and slice through the bottom of his muddy khakis and sever his Achilles tendon, causing him to roar onto his back. I climb up his flailing body and stab him in the chest, killing him. Sam trips over my legs and falls on his face. "You get it? No. Come on," I say. Using one hand as a flashlight and the other as a machete, I race through the forest with ease, not caring how close Sam stays behind me. In less than a minute, I see another Mog struggling over a fallen log. From 25 yards away, I lift the log high off the ground, tip it, and force the Mog to teeter and fall head first. I crash through the weeds, and I find him motionless on his stomach. I can already tell he doesn't have my chest. I kill him with 2 stabs of the dagger. "John," Sam yells in the darkness. "Dude!" I again shine my palm in the air, and I'm scanning the tree when Sam arrives. "Tell me you got it." "Not yet," I say. "No chest," Sam mutters. I just hope Six had better luck. I reach behind me and I pull the white tablet to show Sam. "But I do have this." He grabs it out of my hand. "From the well?" "That's not all we found. Wait until I tell you what else." I suddenly recognize where we are, and I stop walking. I even stop breathing. Sam grabs my shoulder and says, "Whoa, dude, what's going on? You feeling something, like maybe somebody just opened your chest?" As far as I can tell, my chest hasn't been opened. The feeling brewing inside me is that something entirely different. We're near Sarah's house. Dun, dun, dun! Chapter 22 on Sunday night. All right. Awesome, my friends. Very, very good. All right. Well, woof. I didn't see a lot of good stuff this day in history, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, what's going on in the country. So I think since we last talked, Um, Tuesday. Yeah, today's Friday. Tuesday. I'm starting to lose track of days a little bit because we're not, when we're in school, it's like bing, 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 bing. And now I start to lose track of days a little. So Governor Cuomo and New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut have now imposed some kind of travel ban on these 24 states where things are out of control. So I don't know if you guys heard this. In California, there were 6,000 new cases. In Texas, there was over 3,000, right? And Texas has now officially unpaused all of its reopening stuff. They are starting to go back into lockdown. And if I heard correctly, I think within a few days, Texas will have run out of hospital beds. So that's scary, right? What happened here in New York, when it was happening, I really think that overall Governor Cuomo did a pretty good idea, and like state officials did a pretty good idea of saying like, hey, there's this potential for things to get really, really bad, and we need to start planning for this. And it never got that bad. Like it never did. And people were like, well, you screwed up. Cuomo screwed up, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I'm not so sure. The National Guard, the CDC, the state government, like everybody thought things were going to be crazy. And because we locked down, it didn't become that bad. These other states took a different approach. And now they're kind of like getting to this point now where like, I'm glad I don't live in I'm glad I don't live in a lot of these other states. It's getting to be out of control. And they still haven't like totally and completely locked things down, but they're moving in the other direction. So I'll tell you what I did tonight. I'm not going to lie. So today I did some work this morning, and then this afternoon, and again, you guys know I work on a farm in the summer. When I worked at the farm, then on my way home Friday night, I thought, I'm going to order some dinner. So I ordered like a buffalo chicken wrap. And they said, hey, it's going to be 40 minutes. And usually the place that we order from usually doesn't take that long. So I said, all right. So right next to it is a bar. Well, it's not a bar. It's a pub. It's a tap room. And they have outdoor seating. And now out here, what you're allowed to do is that as long as you sit at a table, you can sit at the table with your mask off and eat and drink. So while I waited for my food to be ready, I went, and I had a pint of beer. And I sat outside on this big old patio on a table by myself. Wind blowing, nice cool breeze, and just kind of sipped out a beer for 30 minutes until my food was ready. And I was like, wow, we're almost back to normal. And it's getting there. But then I started thinking about like Texas, like these other states, 24 states where things are out of control. They took another approach, and you know what? Honestly, that was their right. But I'm glad I'm not there right now. And I feel bad for some of these states. I think that people are going to die. And I think and I think that there could be deaths that were preventable. So like, there's, the numbers we're not looking so bad and blah, blah, blah. But maybe those numbers, maybe we're going to see a lot of people end up, and I don't want to see a lot of people end up dying, but I guess it's just it's not over. It's slowing down for us, but it's not over as a country. And that's what, I guess what's got me kind of bummed out. But anyway, today in history, my friends, again, not too many big crazy things going on. Today, the Berlin airlift started. 1948. So we talked about after World War II, we have communist Soviet Union, and we have, the other allies that were democracies are trying to and hoping to remain democracies. The Soviets want to control Europe, right? And they control Eastern Germany, they control Eastern Berlin, and they want to lock out all Berliners. They want to basically try to keep that urban hub for themselves. So we begin to airlift in. I can't remember how many days it lasts for. I want to say 380 days, a little over a year. It's a little over a year with England and France. Medicine. Oh my goodness! Medicine, food, supplies to help the Berliners, and finally the Soviets give up and they stop the blockade. So the first real tension of the Cold War, it ends peacefully. The only other big super thing this day in history, let me look again. Maybe I missed something. Was that in 2015? There was a Supreme Court case this day in history where, and let me find the name of that case because I didn't write it down. Obergefell and Hodges, the Supreme Court rules that same-sex marriage is legal and that it should be legal across the country. And what else? Was there any other? Yeah, I don't think there was any other big major thing in the news today. Oh, well, that's a big thing. In 1917, 1917, I should have written that down. U.S. troops finally land in France. So we did not enter. We were not part of World War I for the first 3 years. But, when I look at the United States and our participation in World War I don't think that we were cowardly. I don't think we really wanted to get involved. And World War I became a very brutal war from the onset. And, I think if you use like a sports analogy, we were that relief pitcher, right? We were, if anybody watches soccer, you got a game where even a close game, you hold on to that player. You hold on to your best player or good relief player. You put him in at the 80th minute when there's only 10 minutes left in the game. Everybody else is wiped out. And you get a fresh pair of legs in there that literally can run twice as fast as everybody else. And, it's funny because I was watching soccer the other day. I almost felt normal watching soccer the other day. And that's exactly what happened. This guy, Steven Bergwijn, I think is how you say his name. He was a recent trade to the Spurs, the team that I like. And he's a great player. And you kind of like, why wasn't he in for the whole game? Well, the coach was holding him. Let me send him in the last minute, fresh legs. And that's what we were in World War I. We were that relief pitcher and those fresh legs. So, but anyways, my friends, another great night of reading. Friday or Sunday night, 2 nights away, we'll try to knock down a couple more chapters. Let me look at where we are page-wise. How many pages did we get through tonight? 30. Exactly 30 pages. So we're almost, probably by the end of Sunday, probably by Sunday, we will be officially 75% of the way through the book. And that's pretty awesome. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Be good. Keep running the marathon. Everything will one day get back to feeling normal again. If I get any news about school in the fall, I'll let you know. Nothing big is, I haven't heard anything, but I'm sure we'll start to hear some things about what fall is going to be like. And, be good. And I'll see you in a couple days. Have a good night, guys.